The DJI Phantom 3 was the first drone that I owned. I had the 4K version, so my thoughts are related to that model. I had my Phantom 3 4K for about a year and a half and logged hundreds of flights before losing it last winter. DJI is no longer manufacturing Phantom 3 drones, so if you are looking to pick one up, you will likely have to buy it used. This video should help you to decide if that would be a good idea for you in today's drone marketplace. These days, most consumer drones are much smaller than the Phantom 3. This includes DJI's popular Mavic series. I currently own a Mavic Air and certainly appreciate its compact size and lightweight. Nevertheless, there are a few things about my Phantom 3 4K that I miss. Firstly, it had a great camera. It's a big drone with a big camera, so I guess this should not have come as a surprise, even though they look the same in the official specs. My Mavic Air does not pick up as much detail and is especially weaker when shooting long exposure photos at night. My best guess is that is to do with the sensor. Both drones feature a 1 over 2.3 inch CMOS sensor and shoot in 4K, but the Phantom 3 4K had a Sony sensor while the Mavic Air does not. The Phantom 3 also had a larger field of view, 94% to my Air's 85%. Secondly, the Phantom 3 has a longer flight time. It is listed at 25 minutes, which beats my Mavic Air's 21 minutes. That extra 4 minutes does make a difference, especially when you never want to have the battery below, say, 10 to 15% when you're flying. And thirdly, the Phantom 3 remote controller can fit a larger screen. You can attach a small tablet to it, while the Mavic drones can only fit a mobile phone. Sometimes it's nice to have that bigger screen, even if it does add more weight on your hands. Fourthly, it had the waypoints feature. This feature had you fly in any pattern and would save that pattern and repeat it. I found that very useful for trying to capture a specific camera angle. For some reason, DJI took that out of Go 4, their newest version of the software that is used by the Mavic drones. Finally, the large size of the Phantom drones does have some advantages. With the propellers off, I could easily hold it steady and use it like a camera with a gimbal. And now for the things I don't miss. Let's start with that size and weight. My Mavic Air weighs 430 grams, is about 17 centimeters in length, 8 centimeters in width, and 5 centimeters high. My Phantom 3 weighed 3 times that at 1280 grams. It is about 35 cubic centimeters large, and that means it took up about 6 times the amount of space that my Air does. And that's without the propellers on. By the way, it is so nice to not have to screw the propellers on and off every time I want to fly. The remote control for the Mavics is also significantly smaller than the Phantom 3 remote. When it's folded up, I would say it takes up about a quarter of the size and is about half the weight. Speaking of the controller, the Mavic drones have several cables that will attach directly to your phone. This, I found, works much better than the Phantom 3 4K's Wi-Fi connection. That was often quite slow for me. I found that my Phantom 3 lost its compass calibration in mid-flight. Quite often, this would cause it to start flying away when it should have been hovering. It's like when a car is out of alignment, but to the extreme. I had quite a few close calls when losing the compass calibration mid-flight, but managed to save the drone every time. The Mavic's new software forces me to calibrate the compass if it senses it is off at all, and I haven't had this issue once. My Phantom 3 developed stress cracks in the arms of the drone, especially around the motors. This might have been a little bit to do with not storing it and carrying it carefully enough. I didn't have a protective case and would recommend that you purchase one if you do buy this drone. I have done some reading on the issue, however, and it is likely just a design flaw. The stress cracks could have formed just by flying the drone a lot. These are what ultimately led to the loss of my Phantom. In my case, one of the cracks became so bad that it loosened one of the motors. My Phantom 3 crashed into steep terrain in deep snow, and I couldn't find it by nightfall. It crashed in Washington State, which is about 12 hours drive from where I'm living, so it's lost to me. I'll include the GPS coordinates in the description of this video if anyone wants to go looking for it in the summer. There were a few other things that kind of bothered me about the Phantom 3 4K. For one, the propellers would appear in the picture if you flew a little bit too fast, say forward or to the side. Another thing was that the gimbal would sometimes be a little bit off of the horizon. Both of these issues I found other people had when I looked them up online. So purchasing a used Phantom 3 is risky because it might already have developed some stress cracks. You should look carefully for that. And even if it's in mint condition, there's also the mid-flight compass calibration loss issue to consider. So unless you're getting a really amazing deal, I would not recommend buying a used Phantom 3 in 2020.